Welcome to RS McLaughlin and welcome to our grade 8 family information session. We're really happy that you're here with us this evening. I'm the head of guidance at McLaughlin. And as I mentioned, I have two other counselors that are behind the scenes connecting with us tonight to help answer any questions that you have. So before we begin, I wanted to mention that the Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms a part of the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, the Mississauga peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. In addition, the Durham District School Board recognizes Indigenous rights are distinct. In the exercise of those rights, Indigenous staff and students shall not be subjected to actions with the aim or effect of depriving these distinct rights. And the Durham District School Board is committed to learning environments that are safe, welcoming, respectful, equitable, accessible, inclusive, and free from discrimination, while placing human rights and equity at the center. So I did want to talk with you about the guidance department at MCVI, and it is a new concept for grade 8s who do not have the idea of a guidance office at their elementary school. And I also wanted to mention to you all the things that we can help your child with. So as you can see in the list here, the transition from grade 8 to grade 9, course selection assistance and information, timetabling and alternative education, post-secondary research and applications, scholarship applications, short-term counseling and referrals, career and pathway planning, student records and awards, and commencement. So how is grade 9 different than grade 8? This is a slide that we did present when we were speaking with the grade 8s of the elementary schools. So it is something that I mentioned to you as well this evening. The school year at MCVI is divided into 2 semesters, September to January and February to June. We did just move from a quadmester system back to semesters. There are 4 courses within each semester, 2 75-minute classes in the morning, 2 more in the afternoon for a total of 8 courses during the year. No more recess, so we do encourage students to be prepared for the morning by having enough to eat and drink and so on, because they will be having classes, 2 75-minute classes back to back with 5-minute travel time in between. Then they have, this year it's a 45-minute lunch and then 2 75-minute classes in the afternoon. Students earn credits. So if they are going to be working towards an Ontario Secondary School diploma or an Ontario Secondary School certificates, they are going to be earning credits. Classes can be passed or failed. In order to fail a class, a student has to achieve less than a 50, so 49 and less. But of course, we have lots of supports in place so that all of our students are successful, or we hope that they're going to be successful. Students may have up to 4 different teachers in a semester, and that does afford students the opportunity to connect with lots of different friends, lots of different teaching styles, have an opportunity to move around the school, to be in different rooms and so on. And students enjoy more independence and freedom as high school students. So we do want to stress the importance that their individual behavior and accountability does determine their level of success. So there's not going to be a teacher that's going to be, as an elementary school, a homeroom teacher that they will spend the majority of their day with. We still do have a homeroom system at McLaughlin. However, students do have to be responsible for their own behavior and their own success. And something that we really stress to the kids is the idea of self-advocacy. So as we all know, as adults, it's something really important to be able to ask for help when you need it, to be able to ask for clarification if you're unsure. And sometimes it's a little bit scary. So we try to stress the importance of advocating for yourself while you're a student in high school, so that it's a skill you can maintain and develop as you go through adulthood as well. So the grade 8 to grade 9 transition process, as I mentioned earlier, we have already connected with all of our grade 8 classes. This is something that we do every year. So we've connected with the grade 8 classes at our feeder schools. We did that between January 27th and February the 4th. And we offered a presentation similar to this one tonight, outlining the course selection process, as well as an introduction to McLaughlin. All of our grade 8 students have been invited to a grade 8 to grade 9 transition Google Classroom that is staffed by us at McLaughlin. And we will share resources that way throughout the school year. The class code is here. You can see it's X74YWQY. So if your child hasn't had an opportunity to join the Google Classroom but would like to, we would love for them to do so. Please take a moment to jot that code down, or we're going to be recording, as you know, this video. You can view it later and pass it on to them that way. So second step in the transition process is, of course, choosing courses via My Blueprint. So we do not yet have a submission date. I wish I could tell you tonight that we have a date already for us to get the submissions in. However, the school board is still in the process of determining, students who are going to be attending a virtual school next year versus bricks and mortar. There's a learning preference survey that's going to come out to families very shortly. So we are waiting for that. However, there's nothing to prevent students from going into their My Blueprint account and starting to look at the courses that they want to choose. Information, as I did mention, will get out to you once we know when those courses can be submitted and when the submission deadline is. We do request a parent and guardian approval. It's a really easy, quite a seamless process when your child is actually submitting the courses. The final step of the submission process asks for an email. So if they put your email address in and hit submit, it will actually send a copy to you to your email, and it will allow you to review and approve. Conversely, if you don't like the course selections, you can also have them resubmitted. So every student does have a My Blueprint account, and in fact, they've been working with them since grade 6 and grade 7. So I don't anticipate there being any concern with them being able to access. However, if maybe the student is new to the school, or you could give them a hand if they're unsure, they would just visit www.myblueprint.ca/DDSB. Excuse me. From there, they click on the school account login button and then log in with their DDSB email and password. So that's something that they could be doing right now just to get a good sense of My Blueprint. So then the next step happens in May. We would love to have an opportunity to visit all the schools in person. We're not sure yet if that's going to be feasible or possible, but if not, we will definitely do a virtual welcome where we'll connect with the students again. We provide a welcome to grade 9 overview, take student questions, and then sometimes we bring senior level students with us as well. And it's a really neat opportunity for grade 8s to have the chance to ask a senior student about what life is really like at McLaughlin. And then it also provides a leadership opportunity for our senior level students as well. This is a picture of an interactive map and department information resource that we have on the Google Classroom. So it is accessible through the grade 8 to grade 9 Google Classroom. This is a photograph of the guidance office. You'll notice that there are a couple of white boxes here. When looking at this resource within the transition classroom, information will pop up, so additional details about the space. Because we weren't able to have students actually walk through the school again this year, we've created this resource. It functions as a map of the school. So all of the elective areas, a lot of the common areas, pretty much at least a classroom or two from every department is highlighted. So it does give the students an opportunity to hover over the classroom on the map to get a 360 view of the actual room, and just kind of get a sense of what the building is like because they're not able to step into it. We also have in the works right now a video that's being created. We'll share that as soon as it's ready. It's being created by some of our media classes just to give students another visual of the building. So really encourage you to take a look at this MCVI walkthrough. Like I said, it is in the grade 8 to grade 9 Google Classroom. So not only does it have a visual of the spaces in the school, there's also department information and important course information as well. Here's an example of, we've just kind of clipped the art department, for example, so you can see some of the courses that are offered within there, the drama, music, visual art, and urban art. So students can click on that and you'll get important details about the department, about the course offerings throughout the year, as well as, some details that are specific to grade 9. And then at the bottom of the page here is our technology department. And again, you could click on those headings for communication, construction, design tech, manufacturing, and transportation. So this resource was available last year. We think it's really successful, and we hope again that the students will utilize it this year. So I mentioned earlier on that students are going to be earning credits. The majority of our students are going to be working towards an Ontario Secondary School Diploma. In order to earn an Ontario Secondary School Diploma, students must earn a total of 30 credits. 18 of those credits are compulsory, meaning they don't have an option. They do have to choose courses within those categories. So within those 18 credits, 4 of those are English. They'll take 1 per grade. 3 mathematics, 1 of those would be a senior math, 2 science, 1 Canadian history, 1 Canadian geography, 1 arts, 1 health and physical education, 1 French, a 0.5 career studies, and a 0.5 civics. And then on the right-hand side there, a credit from each of the following groups. So group 1, 2, and 3. So in addition to those 18 compulsory credits, they also will be completing 12 optional credits. The nice thing as they get older and move into grade 11 and 12, there's more opportunity for elective credits because they've already completed so many of the compulsory. They also have to complete a total of 40 hours of community involvement and the provincial literacy requirement that happens in grade 10. So we call this the OSSD, the Ontario Secondary School Diploma. Another option for some students is the Ontario Secondary School Certificate. This is 14 credits in total. 7 of those 14 credits are compulsory, including 2 English, 1 math, 1 science, 1 history or geography, a phys ed, as well as an arts, and then 7 additional credits, elective credits. And then other students may work towards the Certificate of Accomplishment. So this is for students who are leaving high school before they reach the age of 18 and have not yet met the requirements for the diploma or the OSSC. So students who are working towards a Certificate of Accomplishment are taking courses that are called K-level courses, which are non-credit, and they are students with special education needs. We also at McLaughlin have some special certificates and endorsements that I did want to bring to your attention this evening. I don't believe any of our French immersion schools are here tonight, but we do offer a French immersion program at McLaughlin. If they're going to be a French immersion student, they would have to earn a minimum of 10 credits in French from grade 9 through grade 12, including these FIF or the language credits, 1 each grade. We also offer an arts, a business, and a technology endorsement. So in addition to the diploma at graduation, students can work towards any or all of these different endorsements. Basically, it's 6 credits within the chosen subject area. So if a student is really passionate about the arts, for example, they may decide to take arts credits grade 9 through to grade 12. Similarly, business or technology, and earn that endorsement in addition to their diploma. If a student is really interested in the language of French, we do offer a French language certificate, which is 4 credits in core French from grades 9 through to grade 12. And then we also offer what's called a Specialist High Skills Major, or SHSM. At McLaughlin, we offer an SHSM in construction, information and communication technology, sports, as well as transportation. So this doesn't really impact a grade 8 yet. In fact, these courses or this program is not available to students until they're in grade 11. However, it is something I just wanted to put on your radar in terms of planning ahead. Students who are part of the SHSM will take a bundle of senior level credits specific to the SHSM that they've chosen, as well as a co-op placement in the appropriate sector. They receive lots of different free certifications, including WHMIS, FOLARES, CPR. Depending on the SHSM, they could receive, propane handling or twist conditioning and so on. So they do receive a lot of certifications for free, and then they graduate with a very coveted red seal on their diploma. So at McLaughlin, as well as in the DDSB, it's important that we ensure that all grade 8 students transition to grade 9 and that they make thoughtful course selection choices reflective of their commitment to their own potential and success in high school and beyond. So we really do want to ensure that all grade 8 students have the opportunity to learn about their strengths and interests while investigating various pathways, such as apprenticeship, college, community living, university, and the world of work. So how to prepare to choose courses. These are some suggested steps that we recommend to adequately prepare to choose classes. So the first one is complete your individual pathway plan through My Blueprint. So this is something that, again, students have had access to since they were in grade 6 and grade 7. I will show a screen shortly that does highlight a little bit about My Blueprint, but it really gives students an opportunity to sit down and kind of think about themselves, think about their strengths, think about maybe the path that they want to take. And it does involve a little bit of time, but My Blueprint has made basically interacting with it very user friendly. Students can work towards different prizes. They have gift cards and so on available. So they've made it as appealing, I think, as possible to teenagers to be active within My Blueprint. And as I mentioned, it's very user friendly. We also suggest that students read the Choosing My Success Student Transition Guide. So over on the right-hand side here, this is the Student Transition Guide. There's also publications for other stages in the high school. We do have these on our school website as well as in the guidance office. So one of the publications will talk about what it's like in grade 10 and 11. And then there's the other publication will provide information about choosing beyond high school. And then the Pathways to Success looks at specialty programs within the board and within different high schools. So again, we do have this available in the classroom. We're going to put it on, make sure it's on our school website as well. Then within the transition guide, there is the career life planning process information, as well as the pre-populated course planning tool. I'll show you a photo of that shortly. We also encourage the reflection questions on the pre-populated course planning tool, and then selecting courses on My Blueprint and making sure that it is an MCVI profile that is showing so that students are choosing for the appropriate high school. So this creating pathways to success, these are some of the questions surrounding pathways. So in high school, we talk a lot about pathways, and it's the whole idea that your pathway is a journey, includes lots of opportunities and experiences along the way, whether at home or in your community. It's really interesting for us in guidance to talk to a student in grade 8 and grade 9 and ask them, where they think they'll be in 4 or 5 years, and then to ask that same question when they're in grade 10 and grade 11 to see how things have changed. And I'll sort of joke and say, what, a lot of adults, and maybe some of you listening this evening, are still changing your pathway and are still sorting things out and still exploring different options. And that is completely okay. And that's actually encouraged. So we do ask students, to look at these questions. Who am I? What are my strengths and my accomplishments? What factors shape me? What opportunities do I have? And what are, available to me at home? What skills do I have to develop at home, at school, and in the community? What is my plan for achieving my goals? What are the resources I need to implement my plan? And who do I want to become? So as I mentioned, this will change as students get older, and that's great. But again, just the idea of starting that thinking process and starting that exploration. So this is a copy or a visual of that pre-populated course planning tool. So each student in grade 8 is going to receive this, and it's going to be pre-populated with all kinds of data, including EQAO data, marks from grade 7 report card, grade 8 attendance information, grade 8 progress report learning skills. So we like this because it does give you a bit of a snapshot of the performance of the student, how they performed academically and in terms of learning skills in grade 7 and in grade 8. So that you do have a little bit more of a information evidence-based, you're able to make an evidence-based decision moving forward when you're selecting courses for grade 9. And then there's those reminders here, the bottom, as well as reflection questions. So we do encourage students to look at those and to think about those. This will be accessible to parents with the OEN number, the Ontario Education number. So that is the same number that you need to access the parent portal, and it is found on the report card. So types of courses in grade 9. This has changed a little bit last year and is continuing to change for next year. So I'll just read through these courses here, and we're going to look at them in a little more detail as we go through. So academic courses, these are going to be referred to this year as inclusive academic. If you have older children who are currently taking applied level classes or took applied level classes in grade 9, applied level classes are being retired for grade 9. They will still continue in grade 10 and upwards, but in grade 9, applied will no longer exist. We've got inclusive academic or de-streamed or locally developed or open. So an inclusive academic course will focus on what's essential. So all the essential concepts in the discipline, as well as additional related concepts. They will develop a student's knowledge and skills by emphasizing theoretical, abstract applications of those concepts, and then also incorporating practical applications when appropriate. De-stream classes. This year we started with the grade 9 de-streamed math, the MTH1W1. Next year, the Ministry of Ed is introducing science as a de-streamed course, so SNC 1W1. What this means is that all diploma-bound students will take the same math and the same science courses, which will prepare them to pursue the pathway of their choice. Then there are locally developed classes. These classes are intended for students who require flexibility and support in order to meet credit requirements. So these courses will further reinforce and review what they were learning in elementary school to provide the skills necessary for further study. Typically, a student who is choosing a locally developed course is doing that with the advice and the direction of their school cert. And then we have open level courses. Majority of open level courses in grade 9 are electives. And this is one set of expectations for that subject. There's no prior learning required, no prior knowledge required. And it's appropriate for students, for any student, and not linked to any specific post-secondary destination. So a little bit more information about the de-streamed math and science. With the introduction of this curriculum, all high school students will take the same math and science course in grade 9, which will allow for the same eventual opportunities for all and an improved ability to pursue the pathway of their choice after their K-12 education. And then the idea of inclusive grade 9 course selection, ending early streaming in secondary school means that grade 9 students will continue to learn together in the same class. This will keep options open for all students to pursue post-secondary education and training in any pathway they choose, including skilled trades. I will comment here that quite often the most difficult decision for parents to make in grade 8 was deciding on the math or science pathway. So that decision has now been removed in terms of applied versus academic, because every student, unless directed to take locally developed, will be taking the inclusive academic. So it does allow students to start together the same, sort of the same playing field and start learning together, and then move into applied and academic once they've had 1 year of high school experience. So here's a chart that explains all of the different levels within a high school. So I'll do my best to explain this. And if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer at the very end of the presentation. So this is looking at, for example, an English class, English pathways, the locally developed course here. If a student is taking locally developed courses in grade 9, then when they move to grade 10, they are going to take locally developed as well. Or if they found that they wanted to do something a little more rigorous, a student could then move back and take the grade 9 inclusive academic to be able to move forward. So a locally developed student in grade 9 would continue with locally developed in grade 10. And then when we move on to grade 11 and 12, you'll notice here that the wording has changed. So once we get into grade 11 and 12, the classes become destination based. So whether it's workplace or college or university. So the student who's taking workplace level English in grade 11 and 12, but then after high school move forward to an apprenticeship, to college or the world of work. Note though that college, not every program would accept a workplace level graduate, so we'd want to look at that quite carefully, but there are more and more schools that are starting to offer workplace level graduate programs. If a student is taking an applied level course in grade grade 10. So they've taken the de-streamed and or the inclusive academic, depending on the subject. They move into applied in grade 10. Then again, as we mentioned, that grade 11 becomes more of a destination base. So they now are taking a college level course. After high school, they can go towards an apprenticeship, college, and the world of work as well. Then we have a student who's chosen to take the academic in grade 9, inclusive academic, and then moving into academic in grade 10. From academic classes in grade 10, they then could choose to do college or university level classes in grade 11, and then move towards apprenticeship, college, university, and the world of work. So we do see students, in grade 9, try out some classes. They sometimes move back and forth between the levels a little bit in grade 10, so that by the time they're moving into grade 11 and 12, they have a pretty definitive path in mind, and then we can help them with just making sure that they've got all the prerequisites and that they are achieving what they want. I will note now that grade 11 and 12, the English tends to be the #1 course for a college or university, so the appropriate level for a program. English tends to be that one universal prerequisite. So we do focus on English to make sure that the students are taking the appropriate level for the pathway that they like. Okay, here's a course code. I just wanted to show this to you so that you can help decipher it and decode it as necessary as well. So this is an English course code. This is set out by the Ministry of Education. So every school in Ontario following Ontario curriculum would have a course code with the same first 5 digits, ENG 1D. The 6th digit of a course code, schools do use this to distinguish their own course delivery. So as I mentioned earlier, we are a French immersion course, or school story. So some of our courses will have an F to denote French immersion. If it's for example, a boys phys ed, it may have a 3 at the end. A girls phys ed will have a 4. So we do use that character to distinguish different courses within our school. However, the ENG at the very front, this is an English course that you'll see every grade. So every grade of English, with the exception of our Indigenous English in grade 11, is going to start with ENG. And then this 4th digit here, this identifies the grade. So since it's the first year of high school, it's the #1. You can see here if it's a grade 10, 11, or 12 course, then that number would vary depending on the grade. And then this 5th digit here is the course type. So D is academic, L would be locally developed, O is open, P is applied, which as I mentioned earlier, is available from grade 10 onwards only, and W is de-streamed. Then when they get into grade 11 and 12, that's when the destination courses kind of come into play. So you'll see a C for college, E for workplace, M for college, university, O for open, and U for university. And then depending on the subject, the first letter of the course code it relates to the subject essentially. So if it's an arts course, it's going to have an A, B, business, and so on. So once students understand how a course code works, they tend to be pretty good at following it and understanding it. But I also wanted to just bring this forward to you to give them a hand. So compulsory courses in grade 9. In grade 9, all students must take the following 6 compulsory courses. So #1 is English. #2 is math. Math is, of course, at the de-streams level. 3, science at the de-stream level. Geography. In our school, geography is also offered French immersion. They take a physical and health education class, and then they take French or French immersion français, unless exempt as determined by the cert of the school. Students are eligible to choose 2 elective courses as well. So these are the elective courses that kids can choose in their grade 9 year. I do encourage you to take a look at, as I mentioned before, the online resources. You can also look at my blueprint for a course description. We do offer business in grade 9. It's an introduction to business, BTT 101. It's also offered French immersion. There's also an introduction to family studies or the social sciences. That's individual and family living, or HIF. It would be 101 if you're going to do the English stream. We offer an integrated technology course, TIJ 101. Integrated technology is a rotation through our tech department, typically 3 different techs. So it could be construction, it could be manufacturing, welding, could be automotive, and it could also be within our computer ComTech or design program. And then we also offer 3 different courses within the arts department. So drama, ADA 101, instrumental music, and visual art. Visual art is AVI 101. Instrumental music, you'll notice that there are 2 options there, AMC 101 or AMI 201. AMC 101 is music for creating, so there's no previous knowledge required in order to be successful there. If your child is somebody who has played music in the past and is adept at reading music, then they may decide to choose the AMI 201 because that's a course for somebody who's got some experience. And just a little asterisk there that one arts is required for the diploma. So while we don't require that students take arts in grade 9, sometimes it's a great idea to try one of the arts classes so that they can get that diploma category satisfied, but also have some fun. So all of these courses, all 6 here, are great choices for the students. When they're choosing their classes, they're going to, as I mentioned, have those 2 elective courses. We also have a spot for 2 alternates. So it's almost like ranking their top 4. We do try to accommodate their first and second choices, but sometimes we do have to draw from the alternates, which would be the 3rd and 4th choice. So just wanted you to be cognizant of that as well. This is what my blueprint looks like. This is RS McLaughlin. So I did mention earlier that when all the transfers happen, we do want to make sure that your student has the appropriate high school listed there. You don't have to do anything to make that happen. If you do live in our school catchment area, the elementary school, based on your current home address, will automatically transfer your student's record over to us, and automatically my blueprint will upgrade and update. So no concerns there. You don't have to complete any registration if you're already at one of our feeder schools and living in our school catchment area. I did want to highlight here, students don't have to remember what subjects they have to take. So they don't have to think, oh my goodness, I need to do, what was it again? All of the compulsory subjects, and of course, this is just a portion of the screen, are all listed here. The student simply has to hit the plus button. It's going to bring up the choices for English. So either inclusive academic next year or locally developed. They simply select the one that is appropriate for them, hit submit, and it's going to populate right into their category here, right into their grade 9 year. So they're going to do that for 8 courses plus 2 alternates. And if they wanted, they can go ahead and plan into grade 10, 11, and 12. So I really, encourage, of course, this to be completed once we give the go ahead to submit classes. Another feature I really like with my blueprint is this graduation tracker or indicator. So as students complete the courses, you can actually start tracking here how many are planned, how many have been earned. You can view the progress, so they'll get a sense of how they've been doing, what they still need to choose and select. There's also an SHSM planner here. So it does highlight the 4 SHSMs that we offer at McLaughlin. And then over on the left-hand side, there's all of these other different features. So this who am I did mention, or when we were looking at some of those reflection questions, the who am I has a lot of really fun stuff in there. So they can take a look at their learning styles, for example. There's lots of different surveys and questions that are not difficult to complete. And it's just worthwhile. It's worthwhile to give them a sense of a little bit more, like I said, self-exploration, and it allows them to get a better sense of who they are. There's also a tab here about post-secondary. It links directly with the Ontario colleges and universities, so they can connect and do some research. There's actually a live job search here. So if students are looking for part-time jobs, there's also a resume guide and so on. So lots of features other than just course selection that students can utilize, and we encourage them to start taking a look as soon as they can. So how can you support your child's success? For us at McLaughlin, it's really valuable to us to have your input, and we really look at it as a partnership between the families and the students and the staff. So like I said, we're looking forward to that. But how can you further support your child's success? So some of the things here: know the subject that your child is taking each semester, encourage dialogue with your child, work and communicate with the office, teaching staff, guidance, and support staff. We have a really strong teaching staff, really strong academic resource. Our office staff is great. Our support staff is great. You've now met me in guidance. You've seen Mr. Couch as well. We have Mrs. Sloan. We've got a great secretary. Also know what is on the school calendar for the year, where to find the information. Attend parent, guardian, and guardian or teacher interviews twice a year. Get involved with the school community council. Attend information nights. Attend and support our extracurricular activities. I have to tell you, it was really nice last week to walk by the gym and see students in there starting to play sports again. We've got our musical theater class running. So it's really nice to see some return to those activities. And then encourage exploration of career paths and experiential learning. One of the requirements, it's not a diploma requirement, but sometimes it does count for part of the student's final grade, is the EQAO math assessment. So I just wanted to highlight this resource here, tvomathify.com/students. So that is something for students who are in grades 7 to 10, can receive free math tutoring. There's access up to 30 hours a week. So depending on where your child's math course falls in the school year, whether it be in first semester or second, there is that assessment in either January or June. So just wanted to mention that to you. So things to start thinking about now: community involvement opportunities. Students can begin to complete their 40 hours as soon as they graduate from grade 8. We have noticed for students, it has been more difficult for them to get their 40 hours because a lot of the opportunities prior to COVID that they would have been able to access haven't been available to them. However, the Ministry of Education has been quite flexible with their eligibility criteria. So there are lots of things starting to pop up that students can use towards their hours. And then there's also some virtual sites and resources that are useful. So wanted to mention here, sparkontario.ca and volunteerdurham.net. Something to take a look at. Students have to graduate from grade 8. It can't be done beforehand unless, of course, they want to volunteer, which is great. But in terms of counting as a diploma requirement, that has to be after they graduate. And then I wanted to mention our Take Our Kids to Work Day. This is happening Wednesday, November 2nd, and it is an annual program in which grade 9 students go to work with a parent, relative, family, friend, trusted adult. Ideally, it's to explore career areas or learn about the world of work where they're interested, but it's also to give them a sense of reality and see where perhaps you work, or family friend, they get a sense of what life is like out of high school and what the world of work is all about. So some placements are a little more difficult. If you've got somebody who's thinking about the courthouse, for example, or OPG, securing a placement now or starting to think about that is advisable, because it'll come up a lot more quickly than we think. Here's our contacts at RS McLaughlin. Our principal is David Sasseville. Our principals this year are Tamika Brown and Janet White. Tamika works with students who have the last name A to L, and Janet White is the last names M to Z. Our head of academic resource is Melissa Brown, and that's her email there. She's currently completing IPRCs and working with the schools, with the students and the certs, and looking at IEPs, and as well as transitioning students for next year. So she's a really valuable resource. And then the guidance staff. So there's my contact information. I do work typically with students, last names A to F, Chris Couch, last names G to M, Mary Solon, N to Z, and then our secretary, Karen Halliday. So do encourage you to reach out to us should you have any questions. We do have our information on our school website as well. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of this quickly, and hopefully it was valuable to you. I really thank you for your attention. We are looking forward to welcoming our new grade 9s in September. And now I would love to welcome some questions. So I'm going to